As part of a democratic practice at the Federal Parliament, Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal has responded to a range of questions raised by lawmakers, all but concerning the state and the general public. The Premier has reiterated no efforts were made to protect anyone alleged of involvement in scams that have rocked the nation and that the government was serious regarding social justice and good governance. Good evening, I'm Chitrakar and these are the headlines of the hour. Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal assures investigation will be carried out on anyone alleged of corruption. Main opposition CPN-UML alleges authorities of tampering with the Lalita Niwas case. Student unions continue with their protest and hunger strike against the Institute of Engineering's decision to raise fees. Institute officials warn of en masse resignation if the fees aren't adjusted. A Pakistani court has suspended former Prime Minister Imran Khan's recent conviction on corruption charges a day after the Balochistan High Court dismissed sedition charges against him. And Team Nepal complete their preparations for the SAF Under-16 Championship, which begins in Bhutan this Friday. Head coach Lamentis are at inadequate preparations. Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal has expressed commitment that investigation will be carried out on anyone alleged of involvement in corruption cases, even if his own name emerges. Addressing the questions raised at the House of Representatives today, Premier Dahal claimed that his government had been prioritizing social justice, good governance and public service delivery. This was in response to the question raised by lawmakers if those at the government and the Premier had attempted to protect their close aides. Premier Dahal clarified that he had not attempted to fueled any attempts to conceal any documents to protect his party leaders.
भ्रष्टाचारलाई कडाइका साथ नियन्त्रण गर्न सरकारले विभिन्न नीतिगत तथा कानुनी तथा संस्थागत सुधारलाई अघि बढाएको छ। मान्य सदस्यले भनेको जस्तो कसैलाई पनि बचाउने या कसैलाई पनि अप्ठ्यारोमा पार्ने नियतले कुनै पनि काम गरिएको छैन। जसरी कतिपय सन्दर्भमा मिडियामा आउने गरेको भन्दा ठीक विपरीत मैले दोषी कोही पनि नछुटोस्, निर्दोष कोही पनि नपरोस् भन्ने सिद्धान्त अनुसार नै प्रहरी प्रशासनलाई निर्देशन दिएको र मैले यतिसम्म पनि भनेको छु कि यदि अनुसन्धानको क्रममा प्रधानमन्त्री नै आउँछ भने पनि छोड्न आवश्यक छैन। मेरो पार्टीको कुनै नेताको त के कुरा भन्ने कुरा पनि मैले सार्वजनिक रूपमा भन्दै आएको म जानकारी गराउन चाहन्छु।
At today's session, lawmakers also asked the Prime Minister regarding the agendas during China visit, to which he responded, saying opening trade points with China would be one of the priorities. Lawmakers had also inquired about the progress made in the National Pride projects, along with the preparation to conclude the peace process and Ganga Maya Adhikari, who has been on a hunger strike. In response, Premier Dahal said the state had been taking care of Adhikari and covered her medical expenses and assured that once the bills related to transitional justice is endorsed by the Parliament, the remaining works of peace process would reach a conclusion. Meanwhile, the Premier defended the government's decision to recommend pardon for former lawmaker Resham Chaudhary. In a different note, Premier Dahal claimed the country's economy and public service sector had made notable strides. With regards to the questions regarding Nepal's dependency on imports, Premier Dahal said that the country's trade deficit had been going down in recent time and that he had discussed a Nepal-India trade with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi during his India visit, adding that trade with China will also be high on agenda during his upcoming China visit. He also said the government had prioritized agriculture sector with its plans and programs. He also urged all to avoid airing statements or carrying out activities that hurt the religious sentiments of others. 11 lawmakers had raised questions to the Prime Minister as he responded to lawmakers for the third time since assuming office. Rashtriya Prajatantra Party chairperson Rajendra Lingden has clarified that his party has not reached a consensus to support the ruling coalition in Koshi province and in return take the leadership of a thematic committee of the parliament. RPP Chair Lyngden, who arrived Nepal from his visit to Saudi Arabia earlier today, clarified that reports regarding the support lent by RPP to the Koshi provincial government for leadership of one of the thematic committees in the parliament were fabricated. Chair Lyngden said that there were procedural hassles even if his party wished to support the ruling coalition in Koshi. He claimed that his party had received proposal of the province chief minister in the past as well. Lyngden added that there was no need for a consensus as there are sufficient candidates for the post of the province assembly speaker in Koshi. Meanwhile, Lyngden drew the government attention towards the issues faced by Nepali migrant workers in international airports. At a time when students have been staging demonstration against the increase in fees by Tribhuvan University Institute of Engineering, the office bearers have warned of joint resignation. They have said that the institute has become inoperable without increasing the fees. The institute has increased the fees for the program from 318,000 to 775,000 rupees. The student unions have been staging a hunger strike demanding to withdraw the increase in fees. One of the students, Sulav Chapagai, who had been staging hunger strike for the past 8 days, have been admitted to hospital after his health condition deteriorated. 3 other students have been staging hunger strike for the past 3 days. Meanwhile, the authority has said that it has been compelled to increase the fees after 26 years as its constituent institutions have been facing difficulty amid a lack of sufficient income. The office bearers of the institute have warned of joint resignation if the government does not increase the fees. The coordinator of a team that has been formed to reach an agreement, Assistant Dean Professor Suraj Lamichhane, said that efforts are underway to reach a consensus through dialogue. Time now for our segment, Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
Here's the question: what should be done to increase attraction towards teaching profession? Your options are A, increase facilities, B, respect towards the profession, and C, opportunity for professional advancement. Voting is on. Type any WS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Vice President of Department of Compact Operations at the US Millennium Challenge Corporation, MCC, is arriving Nepal to attend the official program to mark the beginning of implementation of MCC program in Nepal tomorrow. The US Embassy in Kathmandu has, however, not released Alfred's schedule while in Nepal, citing security concerns, however, has expressed excitement over the progress made by Nepal with regards to MCC. The embassy has stated the MCC implementation has been possible by continuous support from the government and political parties. Nepal Army have rescued 2 individuals who had reached Badi Malika, a religious and touristic region, after they had fallen ill because of lack of oxygen. Dhanaprasad Neupani of Kalikot was injured after fainting because of lack of oxygen, while Jhupu Dhami of Bajhang, a patient of asthma, had fallen ill. A chopper of Nepal Army rescued the 2 individuals. Neupani had serious injuries to his head and is undergoing treatment, while Dhami has returned home after medical care. Time now for international update. A Pakistani court has suspended former Prime Minister Imran Khan's recent conviction on corruption charges, although it is yet unclear whether this would lead to his release from jail. The 70-year-old former cricket hero has been at the center of political turmoil in the crisis-ridden nuclear-armed state since his ouster in a parliamentary vote of confidence in April 2022, and his relations with Pakistan's powerful generals have deteriorated badly over the past year. Khan was imprisoned on 5th of August after being sentenced to 3 years in jail for unlawfully selling state gifts during his tenure as Prime Minister from 2018 to 2022. As a result of the conviction and with a national election expected in coming months, Pakistan's Election Commission also barred Khan from contesting elections for 5 years. Khan's legal team lodged the appeal against his conviction on the grounds that he was convicted without being given the right to defend himself. The court also ordered Khan's release on bail, but it remains uncertain whether he will be freed, as there are court orders for his arrest in other cases. Khan faces dozens of cases, including charges of abetment to murder, leaking state secrets, and orchestrating violent protest. He has already been arrested in connection with another case on charges of leaking state secrets and compromising national security. It is unclear how the ban on his contesting elections will be affected with the suspension of his sentence. Rescuers have stepped up evacuation efforts in eastern and central China as unrelenting downpours wreaked havoc and triggered flash floods. Emergency responders in Hubei and Jiangxi province wade through high levels of floodwater to reach trapped residents before evacuating them on rubber dinghies and via rope lines. China has been gripped by weeks of rains and floods amid an unusually wet summer. In late July, storms from Typhoon Doksuri caused record rains to hit China in over a decade, with Beijing experiencing its heaviest rainfall in 140 years. China's government has called for more precautions against flooding as Typhoon Saola now makes its way across the South China Sea, with forecasts expecting it to land at Guangdong province as early as this Friday this week. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told reporters Russian President Vladimir Putin has no plans to attend the funeral of Wagner mercenary group leader Yevgeny Prigozhin. Peskov told reporters the Kremlin did not know about the planned funeral arrangements, saying this was a matter for the family. Prigozhin died when his business jet crashed last week, 2 months after he and his Wagner mercenaries staged a mutiny against Russian military commanders in which they took control of a southern city, Rostov, and advanced towards Moscow before turning back 200 kilometers from the capital. The Kremlin has rejected an absolute lie, the suggestion by some Western politicians and commentators that Putin ordered Prigozhin to be killed in revenge. Chief of Sudan's paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, RSF, has said it was open to a long-term ceasefire to the fierce clashes with the Sudanese Army Forces, SAF, and expressed his vision for the future on social media, while General Commander of the SAF reasserted confidence in winning over the opponent on the same day. As the conflict that has displaced millions from their homes still lingers in the region off and on for months, with rounds of failed ceasefires, Commander of the RSF Mohammad Hamdan Daglo posted an article titled "Sudan Reborn: A Vision for a New State," showing his willingness to work towards a long-term ceasefire under 10 principles that would lead to direct talks. The RSF commander reiterated the commitment to federalism, democratic values, and a single military system, while stressing that the current civil confrontation is not the preferred choice for a democratic transition. Sudan has been witnessing deadly clashes between the Sudanese army and the RSF in Khartoum and other areas since April 15 until Monday. Gunshots and explosions could still be heard in the capital city of Sudan. Medical staff at King Hussein Cancer Center in Amman, Jordan, operated a robotic surgery on a cancer patient, providing a more accurate performance according to the doctor leading it. Abdel Jalil, King Hussein Cancer Center's thoracic surgery consultant, said Robotic operations were proven to lessen the pain on patients with a smaller wound and faster recovery from the surgery. The center started using the robot in implementing its surgeries in March 2022, completing 75 surgeries as of Monday, Abdul Jalil added. The robot's arms work simultaneously, with one equipped with a camera and two others acting as the surgeon's hands. The fourth arm is dedicated for assistance, the center's website showed. Before wrapping up, here's a look at the top stories once again. Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal assures investigation will be carried out on anyone alleged of corruption. Main opposition CPN-UML alleges authorities of tampering with the Lalita Niwas case. Student unions continue with their protest and hunger strike against the Institute of Engineering's decision to raise fees. Institute officials warn of en masse resignation if the fees aren't adjusted. A Pakistani court has suspended former Prime Minister Imran Khan's recent conviction on corruption charges, a day after the Balochistan High Court dismissed sedition charges against him. And Team Nepal complete their preparations for the SAF Under-16 Championship, which begins in Bhutan this Friday. Head coach Lamentis are at inadequate preparations. That's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.